Hello and welcome to Matt's MoshCast. I am here with my partner in crime, Dan from the future. How are you doing?
Hello, Matt. I'm doing great. Actually, I'm having a great day because first, it's my birthday, actually.
Yay! That's
So,
awesome. Happy
and
birthday.
I'm on the podcast.
How cool is that?
Thank
You
you.
didn't think that was going to happen. That wasn't on the
Nope,
bingo card.
it was not.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, and the second cool thing is I finally was able to get my blog on. I should say we because most of it was my husband actually who did the actual work. So
Mm-hmm.
big thanks to him. And it's not the same, it's not a repetition of the same information and the same topics we exchange here.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about physical media and algorithms and streaming, but also there will be music talk like new albums, but also albums that are new to me,
Hmm.
um, concerts I've gone to, and all of that. So it's going to be quite different. So
Awesome.
anyone listening, if you want to check it out, there will be a link in the description.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's too much reading for me, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm excited. So it's super cool and it's a great opportunity for you. So I'm thrilled
Thank you.
that
Thank you.
that you get to do this. It's so much fun. Anyway, folks, we have a crazy show today. We actually have our very first interview
Yay!
that we've even done on this Moshcast. So that's going to be in our topic of the week, which we're going to be discussing the new Iron Maiden movie, Burning Ambition, and we have somebody that might have been in the movie. So um, throwing it out there, so you're not going to want to miss that. So just stay tuned, folks. Okay, folks. So before we get started, one administrative thing that we should mention is the fact that next week we will not be doing a show, but I promise I will still post something channel related, but we're just not going to be doing this show. We will absolutely be back the following week and then the weeks beyond that. But this one, we've got some planned time off, so it's all good. So once again, we will not be doing a show next week, but there will be something dropping on my channel in the same time spot. And yeah, so now it's time. Let's just get right into the show. What's up with the news, Den?
Yeah, so this week, because we already knew that we are going to talk to someone about the Burning Ambition documentary, I was thinking, unless something huge happens, we might just skip it because
Hmm.
usually nothing super huge happens. And I
Hmm.
think just thinking this, I cursed the whole thing because literally 5 minutes later, I get the message that Alissa White-Gluz, that we both love,
Hmm.
and I think it's very beloved on this channel in general, has joined Dragonforce.
It's the weirdest thing in the world. When I saw that, I was just like, "Are you serious?" But the more I think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. So at
Yeah,
first, it just completely throws you off, like nothing makes sense. But then now that I've had time to process it, it 100% makes sense to me. And so, and this is just my take on it, and you may have a completely different take on it, but I feel like Alisa has always been a part of a band, and she's always kind of had that. There's a safety net in a weird sort of way, where there's a regular income coming in. Like when she joined Arch Enemy, they were already well established, and there
yeah.
was a straight up, you're going to get X amount of gigs, you're going to get X amount, like you're going to be able to make a living. And I don't know what the pay looked like, but there's at least a constant revenue stream coming in. And so when you start something from scratch, I think there's this fear of what if people don't like it? What if it doesn't take off? What if and you have to claw your way to get gigs, which I don't think Elisa had to worry about that. But in a weird sort of way, I can't help but think she was like, I want to do Blue Medusa. This is my world, but I'm so scared that there's, what ifs. Whereas if you join something, there's a steady paycheck. And Dragon Force, they're always touring. They're always gonna, they've already established themselves. So I think it's almost like a security blanket in a weird sort of way. And the
Maybe.
fact that she's still doing Blue Medusa as well makes me think that this is really more of a security blanket from a financial perspective. And I'm not saying she's not going to have a good time playing with them and recording with them. I think she's going to have a great time doing that. But I think it was almost a no-brainer for her to take it instead of what we would have thought was like, why, when you have Blue Medusa. But I think it's financial. Well, more financial, but a security blanket as well. But what do you
Yeah,
think?
so I wouldn't go and venture a guess about how much of it was a financial factor in
Mhm.
her decision because it's not something I even know
Mhm.
how much she needs this, and something that she can kind of comment on if she chooses,
Mhm.
strictly from someone who is kind of thinking about the music that she's done and she's doing. And from what I know about her as a person and looking at Dragonforce, it did kind of make sense after I thought about it for like a couple of hours, because my first reaction was, didn't we have April Fools this year already? And because it kind of in the first moment, it kind of hit me like that. But
Mhm.
thinking about it, and now she's performed with them, I think she was featured on a song with them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I did a
I think
reaction to it. I don't remember the name of it. It was Burning Something, I feel like. But I think because I have Burning Ambition stuck in my head, I
that
that's
that might be it.
drawn a blank.
I kind of think I do remember something, but because Dragon Force is great, but it's also a bit too much over the top for me, so I tend not to listen to them. But it kind of makes sense just because it will be a different thing for her, like an artistic challenge. And she's a very artistic person. She always does something different. I know she makes her own clothing. She's also a
Mhm.
painter, graphic designer, something like that. And kind of it's another thing that she can yeah, put her talents to use in a different way than she's done so many years with Arch Enemy. And
Yeah.
that's why I thought, okay, kind of makes sense. And if she's friends with them, why not? Because I know
Mhm.
that the Dragon Force bassist, Alicia Vigil, is going to be the live bassist for Blue Medusa as well. So
Mhm.
I guess it kind of makes sense, all of
Oh
that.
yeah, and I think for Dragon Force, it's a genius move. Like I think
Yeah.
because it really does bring a different dynamic to their music, whereas they're still keeping their main singer, and
Yeah.
Elisa's doing like co-vocals. So I feel like it's almost going to sound like a reverse Lacuna Coil. How
Like,
you know
or an
with
Amaranth.
yeah, exactly. To be honest with you, when it comes to Dragon Force, I've seen them live even, and while they're fun live, getting into the music is kind of harder for me. I think with Elisa joining, and I know they've already, I guess, worked on music and they're going to put out an album and whatnot. I'm more excited for Dragon Force than I've ever been excited for Dragon Force. I have a lot of respect for them as a band. It's just that I haven't really had that like, yeah, now that Elise is a part of it, I'm 100% locked in.
Yeah, I think that was also the genius that all the Alisa fans are going to probably give Dragon Force a chance, even if it's not usually what they listen to. And I think
Mhm.
I also might listen to what they bring out in the future. But for now, they have quite a lot of touring because I know they are playing their first show with Alisa today at
Oh, wow.
Welcome to Rockville. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then next Sunday, they will be at the Sonic Temple. So anyone who's going, you
Mhm.
might want to check them out. Yeah,
Yes. And let us know if you were there,
absolutely.
let
Yeah,
us know in the comments.
leave us a comment. Tell us how it was. How did you find the band together with her? And basically anything you might like to tell us.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, kudos to Dragon Force and, and Alyssa, or at least I'm going to say Alyssa because I think it's Alyssa. But also, similarly, she announced today, as we're recording this, that there's a new single coming out for Blue Medusa called Flying Monkey. And I believe it comes out on
Interesting.
Friday. So she's just like throwing it all out there. So good on her.
Absolutely. And I just hope that we get to see more of her solo work that she recorded in the previous years.
Hmm.
Sorry. I know that's like right after she left Arch Enemy that she released the song "The Room Where She Died," where she
Hmm.
collaborated with Ollie from Camelot, and I
Hmm.
love that song. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and I'm very curious to see more of that music. So I just hope that she finds some time, first of all, to rest and to be healthy, but also to release some of that,
Oh,
if possible.
absolutely. And
So
I'm not
I
gonna
will.
lie, I got excited for Flying Monkey because her little promo reel on Instagram has her doing like the artwork, and there's definitely a Wizard of Oz theme to it. And so, but you could kind of hear it, and in the beginning it sounded a little bit orchestral, and then you've got the like the heavy like so it just sounds
Interesting.
like everything that I love in the world. So very
Interesting.
excited.
So I will definitely check it out, tune in. I don't know if they're doing a premiere or anything, but if I don't have to go to work or anything, I will just try to tune in. And yeah, Wizard of Oz is actually a very American thing, so I have to admit I've never
Really?
watched the film or read the book.
Oh
Like I
my,
kind of know what it's about, but that's it.
I
It's
didn't
just not
realize
as
that.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just some years ago I kind of realized it's very uh, beloved by people in the US
Mhm.
and I guess North America in general. But over here, it's something people know about, but most people I've met have never watched the film.
Oh wow. I'm gonna go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go on a little tangent that I did not. This is not planned, folks, but I didn't know that. That's a shock to me. But so I think it was it'll be 2 years in December. I went to Austria, Salzburg, and I was immediately thinking that I was gonna, get off the train and start singing Sound of Music. And I was literally just like, the hills are alive, and everything, right? Because that's where it was filmed. And I was thinking that there was going to be Sound of Music like stuff everywhere and
No,
nowhere. And then I found out like the real like history, I guess, how the movie is, and literally found out that no one cares about it except for America.
nope,
And
no, yeah.
and so wow, now my soul's crushed twice. Like I thought I was convinced that everybody was going to be singing Sound of Music or now Wizard of Oz stuff, and to find out that it's really not a thing only in America is pretty
I mean,
sad.
it's not like people hate it. It's just like not this whole cult thing around it where you read it to a child and everyone's
Yeah.
in the film, like the old one with the Judy Garlands.
Hmm.
And I know details around it. It's
Hmm.
it's super weird. Like I've read about details how they were filming and all that stuff that happened
Yeah.
behind the scenes and on set. I've never seen it.
When I was a little kid, like like in school, you like elementary school, you do, or like when you're a kid, they do like school plays. And I feel like The Wizard of Oz is a guaranteed school play. And, we were all, we represent the lollipop kid, all that kind of stuff. But wow, that's wow. Okay, you learned something new on the show, folks. That's awesome. Good to know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and there was of course, because I did curse the news segment, as I said, of course,
mhm,
something else big had to happen
mhm.
with an album announcement from Deep Purple. Who else?
Wow.
Of course, they're dropping an album announcement in the week where we hope that nothing big happens, so we can concentrate on our
Hmm.
topic for the
Yeah.
week. And yeah, they haven't released any singles from it yet. So this
Hmm.
should come soon according to their label. But Deep Purple is releasing their new album Splat out on the 3rd of July
Hmm.
via Ear Music. And according to Ian Gillan, it's the heaviest Deep Purple album in many years. So
Wow. Wow.
that's literally from the website.
I love that they're just cranking out music because they've been consistently putting out albums,
Yeah,
which is like, I can't say that I've listened to many of their later albums, but I love the fact that they're putting them out. Like, good on them. They're still
yeah.
cranking it out and doing it.
They all go. They also go on tour, which is amazing. I remember, like, I guess 1 year, 2 years ago, that my friend was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Deep Purple?" And I'm like, "What? They're on
Yeah.
tour?"
Yeah, no, they're still doing it. Like I love it because there are people that, as you get older, there's people in your world that get older and they just sort of, I'm not going to say like they get, it's not giving up on life or anything like that, but you get you get it to a point where you're like, I'm old. What can you do? You're just and you just naturally slow down. But when I see people like this, and even Iron Maiden for that matter, that are, in their late 60s or early 70s, and they're just completely just living their best lives. I'm like, that's awesome. That's how I want to be.
It is, and especially for these legendary bands, I think it's great that they can just do whatever they want. They are
Hmm.
not dependent on album sales, I believe,
Hmm.
streaming numbers, anything like that.
Hmm.
They can just do it because they want to. So I think that's also an influence over the music that they make and record, and over how much or how much or how little they want to tour. And that's the dream. That's the dream, really, that you get to this point where you can just, yeah, I just do it because I want to.
Yeah.
And how many of us can say that,
No,
actually?
I know, right? It's great. Although we're doing it now. We're doing it on
Uh,
we're
Indeed.
doing this MoshCast because we want to.
Yeah, we are.
And so yeah, no, I think it's fantastic, and just kudos to them, and I just hope they keep doing them. Like, they need to just keep cranking out albums, as long as they're
Like,
happy doing it, it's all good.
absolutely. And
Cool.
according also to Gillen, that it's very much in the vein of their material from 69 to 73. So I guess their classic stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to hear it. So, because especially, I'm not exactly sure which one it was on, but Child in Time was the first Deep Purple
Mm-hmm.
song I ever heard. And it's the one that I keep coming back to
Mm-hmm.
because especially, that's the keyboard and the bass, especially in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
it gets under your skin. It's giving you goosebumps. It's fantastic. And
Mm-hmm.
few years ago, there was a series that premiered on Netflix, and I don't know if you've checked it out, but it's from the same people who made Dark,
Mm.
and it's
Oh.
called 1899. It's
Oh.
super interesting. I will not spoil it. It's like Dark. You kind of just to find out for yourself what the story is. But
Mm.
the one difference is in the soundtrack, they use a lot of these classic rock tunes. They use
Mm.
like Jefferson Airplane is the theme, and Jimi Hendrix Experience. And at one point, it was Child in Time. So I was just like, you're on the couch and you're watching. And I was just like, it's my song.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
just wrote it down, 1899, because literally you have told me to check out a few shows, and of course my wife and I have checked them out and loved every bit of it. And so we were watching one of the suggested shows last night, and she goes, "You need to make sure to tell Den that she has the best taste in TV shows."
Yes.
Because you're introducing us to shows that we just never would have seen. So, that you should put that in your blog, like shows to watch as well.
I might,
So,
I might. The shows that, but with those that are on Netflix, I will probably have to be careful because since we're about physical media,
oh
they don't
yeah,
get
yeah. I'm
physical
sorry.
release.
We'll just
But
talk about it on this show.
yeah, well, we can talk about on this show, but 1899, I have to warn you that Netflix did a very stupid thing. And
Mm.
despite good viewership, they decided to cancel it because it wasn't
Oh,
good enough, apparently. So there's
okay.
only one season. I don't know if it will ever be renewed because of the contract
Mhm.
details, I guess.
Okay.
Because, yeah, the main director guy, Baranbo Odar, said that it's going to get even crazier in later seasons like it did with Dark.
Mhm.
And I just read this and I got angry all over again.
Yeah, so okay, so I'm not going to get too comfortable with it, but I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah,
Is that it for the news, or do we go right to the
that's
new music?
that's all that I wrote down for the news.
Folks, now it is time for the new music of the week. And it is just like, I know you and I were both extremely excited. And so I'm going to steal the thunder on this one.
Do
I'm
it.
gonna take it from you. I'm gonna steal this one.
Do it.
And we were both extremely excited for the brand new Draconian album. It's
Yes.
called Insomnolent Ruin. And it was one of those things where I could not download it fast enough. I buy them for everything, but when I say download, it's really just moving it to my server. But could not get it fast enough, and I was so excited to check it out because I've heard the singles that we've released. I've even done I think a reaction to one of them, and I had it all ready. I had my day planned so I could sit and listen to it. And then unfortunately, the day job blew up, and I only got a chance to listen to like the first three or four songs. And I can say what I've heard, I absolutely love. It's everything that you want from Draconian. You know, you want that like the doomy, just that feel, as well as, the clean vocal, the female clean vocals, and I can't remember her name.
Lisa Johansson.
Yes, fantastic.
Amazing. I'm so happy that she's back in the band. And this is nothing against Heike because I love her as well. I think they're both
Mhm.
similar enough that they can sing songs that the other has recorded, each of them. But also they're different enough that you notice it. So
Mhm.
when I got into Draconian back in 2008, Lisa was the vocalist, and it was kind of her voice that the first thing I
Mhm.
noticed was her voice. So that made me fall in love with the whole doom stuff with the band. And I was very happy to actually tell her this in person when I saw Draconian in 2024, because they were super nice. Like she and Anders, they got down from the stage and they were just like talking to people, taking pictures.
Mhm.
And when I got to her, she actually said, "Okay, I need to drink something. Stay right here." So she went to get some water and came back actually for
Oh
us, where
wow.
she could have just let us standing there,
Mhm.
and I mean, it would have been fine because she doesn't owe us anything. But she actually came back. She signed my CD, and
Mhm.
we took a picture. So I told her, "Yeah, your voice just kind of made me love this whole thing." And she was the nicest person, and Anders was also great. So they are lovely people, actually.
That's
Very
right.
quite cheerier than their music, actually.
Yeah. We need to get them on the show. We need to figure this
That
out.
would be amazing.
I'm
But
going to say
for
you already
now,
have an in.
I I mean, I speak German and they're on the Austrian label, and I don't think they remember me, but maybe
Yeah.
there is
You
something
can
to
say,
be
look, we have a
done.
photo together. We met at
Yeah.
one point. They don't need to know how. It's just
Yeah,
yeah, we're old friends.
yeah, yeah. But
Um,
for now, I was just going to brag with this. This is the yearbook edition, which
that is
I
awesome.
pre-ordered sight unseen.
Mhm.
It's amazing. It looks great. I haven't listened to it yet. I just know the singles that they put out. I haven't had time. Sorry, but
Mhm.
I am going to do it today, like a present for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Just
deserve it.
enjoy it. Yeah, thanks. Draconian. Okay.
Fantastic. Super excited. Everybody, if you haven't heard of them before, just go ahead and buy their album and listen to it because I can't
Get all
imagine.
of their albums.
I don't want
Get
to
all
meet
of
the
their
person
albums.
who doesn't like Draconian. That's really what
Yeah,
it
me
comes down
neither.
to. Like, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. And
Yeah,
so,
they're get all of their albums because they've been really consistently excellent. They're fantastic live. Like I have nothing to say that is kind of a criticism. They
mhm.
just a great band.
Yes. So kudos to Draconian. And so I think we have one more left, and I'll let you can pronounce
Yeah.
this one because I'm going to botch it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that my interpretation is right either. Because I was kind of surprised by this one, and I believe you were also.
Mhm.
It kind of caught you off guard, didn't it? The new
100%.
It's the new Yoth Iria. It's called Gone with the Devil. And basically, if you like Rotten Christ and you kind of just like sitting there patiently waiting for new music from Rotten Christ,
Mhm.
you might want to fill that waiting time with the new Yoth Iria album,
Mhm.
because you are going to like it if you like Rotten Christ.
100%. As soon as you had mentioned it in just conversation, and I was like, who is this Yoth area?
Mm,
And so I immediately went to listen to the new album. I just checked a few songs, and then based on just like little snippets of some of their songs, I immediately bought their whole discography. Like,
like,
fortunately, there's only like three albums, at least that
yeah,
were available to me, but it was totally worth it. Fantastic.
they've been around since 2019, so from this band's history is quite short. But
Hmm.
actually, there is a Rotting Christ connection because their bassist, Dimitris, was the original Rotting Christ bassist, and he
Oh, okay.
co-founded the band with the Tolles brothers.
Hmm.
And he's also played in another big Greek black metal band, Varthron, which I haven't listened to, but I probably should.
Hmm.
Like just based on these
But
two
yeah, at
bands
this
that I
point
do
he's two
know.
for two.
Yeah, and kind of feeling like black metal is not my thing, but if it's Greek black metal, I'm interested.
Yeah, like there's
And
something about it, and like what I love about Riding Christ is there's almost this like driving nature of the music, and I don't know how to describe it to where it's like it just feels like it's movement. It's just like
yes,
this driving forward, and I love it. And Yoth Iria gives me those same vibes. The vocal sounded awesome too. So that's
yeah,
another band
absolutely.
that sight unseen, just go buy it. Why not?
Yeah, just yeah, you can trust us on this one. And I did want to mention the song "The Blind Eye of the Antichrist"
Hmm.
because I mean it's the one that is interwoven with a Serbian religious hymn,
Hmm.
which was very strange because I was just listening to the album and like, okay, this is not English and I can understand it. Is this Macedonian? What is it? So I kind of uh, did what I do and did
Hmm.
research. It's
Hmm.
a Serbian song called Pobedna Pesma or Victory Song. And it's actually written as something about uh, a battle that is supposed to happen at the second coming of Jesus. And
Hmm.
so the first, like the one that goes directly in the beginning goes like, oh yeah, then the Lord comes with his army and our
Hmm.
enemies, they will be ashamed. And it's so interesting because the Yoth Iria lyrics are not very Christian. I'm actually quite
Oh,
anti-Christian, as the title says. So
yes.
I find this a very interesting choice, but just kind of the whole melody, how it works,
Hmm.
it's creepy in this good way because that's what you expect from black metal. And
Hmm.
it does get you like, okay, I might be in trouble here. It's
No,
really well done.
absolutely. It's fantastic. And now like you gave that story and the interesting like history and all this stuff. Now I'm waiting for a song that features something with the Wizard of Oz. So at least I can go, hey, it reminds me of, but no, I'm not going to
It's
get that lucky except for Flying Monkey, which comes out on Friday. Awesome. So, folks out there, those are basically our picks of the week. I know a lot of other albums came out at the same time. So, let us know the albums that you're most excited about. Please let us know in the comments. Because, hey, we're learning new music all the time. And
yeah,
so, even if there's albums that, you think we should check out or bands that we should check out, please let us know in the comments.
absolutely.
And with that being said, I think it's time to get to our topic of the week. Okay, everybody, it is time for our topic of the week. And for this topic of the week, we have an absolutely special guest. And if you've been following my channel, you've seen him on my interview with the band Eyes of the Nile, who I talk about all the time because they are my all-time favorite Iron Maiden tribute band. And quite frankly, they are the best Iron Maiden tribute band. And I'm not just saying that because you're here and you've been on the show, but you guys really are the best Iron Maiden tribute band. And so, Chris DiChiara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate it.
And
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. How
and
about
Good.
you?
Great.
and for those who don't know, Chris is the drummer for the for Eyes of the Nile. So he is part Nico and part Clive. Do we say Simon? Did we
No,
add Simon?
no,
No, we're not adding Simon, just Matt.
no.
Okay, cool. But one of the reasons why we wanted to have Chris on the show today is because, as most of you know, if you've been following this channel, I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan, and we've already been talking about their new movie, Burning Ambition. And as luck would have it, Chris got to actually be in the movie and a part of the whole thing. So I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it in the theater, I choked up a little bit. I was like,
Aw.
because you and
I
Navid,
choked on my own vomit.
oh really? Was it scary? Just going,
No,
there.
I was just, it's embarrassing.
Oh, No, I loved it. It was so great to see people that I know personally, like you and Naveed, but also it was neat to see the other YouTubers who I follow, the Captain Harris
Oh,
channel, they were involved with it as well. So I felt like when I was looking at the fans, it was like friends. It was like all people,
yeah,
I know or feel comfortable with. And I don't know the Captain Harris people. But I have talked to them in the past, but not like I know you and Naveed for that matter.
yeah.
But so how did the whole thing start? Like, how did you guys get picked? Because I know like while you guys are the best in the land, there's a lot of other, Iron Maiden tribute bands out there and whatnot. So how did you get picked?
We got an email, or I got an email from some of the producers, and they asked if we would want to be a part of this new documentary.
Hmm.
And, you don't know what kind of documentary it's going to be. It sounded like it was going to be some official Iron Maiden documentary, but I didn't really know if it was some fan thing. They were just kind of throwing together some scraps and they were going to make their own like little underground cult video. And but they said this was like, approved by Iron Maiden. There's going to be like they're going to be in it, and that added some legitimacy to it. And the fact that they were going to fly us down to Miami to interview us, we're like, okay.
Hmm.
So they asked for me and Naveed to go down to Miami. Like they were traveling the world interviewing whoever they wanted to interview. So
Okay.
they saw us online and picked us.
Hmm.
And we didn't know if they were going to pick other bands, other tribute bands, but we knew that they picked us. And um, they offered to fly us to Miami, be interviewed, and fly us back. So that's what we did. We signed an NDA, so we couldn't speak about this for literally 2 years. This was going on. And in that time, I would periodically email them and ask, hey, just want to know what's going on. Is it still happening? Do you have any release date? Any kind of updates at all that you can tell me? And it was always like some kind of delay. We'll let you know. And then one of the people that I was talking to wasn't on the project anymore. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking
Just
this is
really
just
good.
gonna go
Okay.
away. This doesn't seem to be really happening. And then someone else was emailing me back and said, we're shooting for, next January or something like that. So this just kept going on and on and on. And then it was, okay, I think he said something about we're shooting for this May. I think this was this past January or so. So like, okay, this is definitely happening, but I don't know if we're even in it.
Hmm.
They going to take pieces. You know how it is when you're editing stuff. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
like you have all the footage and then you have to pick like what are the best spots that make the most sense for this documentary. And they were asking us everything.
Hmm.
Just
Like,
they
how long
asked
did you
us,
sit? Like, how long
it was
did you
about
have?
an hour, hour and a half.
Okay.
And it was just us individually.
Okay.
So all of those, those green screens or the gray screen that they had behind us,
Hmm.
everyone had that. We would just it was a huge studio space with a whole bunch of lights focused in right on that table with that gray backdrop.
Hmm.
And we one by one we sat there and was just like it was super laid back at the same time, even though, you're in this kind of
Yeah.
space. But they were all super nice and you know, they just asked us about, Clive and like why, what is it about Nico? What is it about Clive?
Hmm.
And so they were asking a lot of like performing questions,
Hmm.
which in the end, I was a little disappointed that they didn't actually talk about anything that had to do with being in a tribute band.
Yes.
And, they didn't even like
Didn't
label
even
that we
reference it.
were,
Yeah.
yeah. I was a little bummed about that.
Hmm.
And I was a little bit bummed that they didn't talk about the performing aspect of performing their music. And I'm
Hmm.
sure everything else was just more important, so they couldn't obviously. But that seemed like the whole point of asking members of a tribute band to be there because that's just another angle. You had a famous actor, you had people in famous bands, you had, the layperson fan, you had all journalists, and I thought tribute band would be just another aspect of, talking about Iron Maiden that people might not realize.
Mhm.
So, little disappointed in that, but at the end of the day, I mean, it
How,
didn't really matter.
how
I was,
cool is that though? It's
yeah,
sort of just being a part of something like that that's going to live on, I think, forever. I feel like, as their DVDs and movies and whatnot,
yeah.
be a part of that is super cool.
Well, it's funny because we thought that, well, so to go back, um, one day out of the blue, Naveed showed me the screenshot of an email that he got from the producers saying, "It is confirmed that you will be making an appearance in the
Mm.
new Iron Maiden documentary, Burning Ambition, blah, 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 blah," all the information, all the social media stuff. I'm like, I didn't get that message. What the hell? But I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're in it. And then I checked my email and I got the exact same one.
Mm.
I'm like, oh my God, we're actually in this.
Like how
Like,
great.
I don't know if it's going to be a millisecond. I don't know
Mhm.
if it's going to be like what it's going to be,
Mhm.
but we're going to be in this now for sure.
I,
And they sent us a whole bunch of social media stuff. Like,
mhm.
these are the images. This is the video that you can use. These are all the hashtags. These are all the mentions for
Mhm.
Instagram, for Facebook, TikTok, and then like go crazy, start promoting.
Mhm.
And that's when the whole promoting machine went on and for about, a few weeks at that point
That's
before
awesome.
the actual movie.
We have another friend that's been to a bunch of your shows as well. We were watching it together, and I think we both went, Naveed's a psychologist?
Psychiatrist.
I'm a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. I'm like, we had no idea.
Well, well, that was in the trailer. The second trailer
Yeah, that's
had that little bit in it. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, it just sort of I was just like, I know, right? Who knew?
Well, the
Uh,
funny thing was when we were watching it, well, first of all, that has been his best kept secret.
mm,
Like he doesn't really talk about that at
yeah,
all, ever. And for various reasons.
sure.
But so it's funny because I just met a psychologist yesterday and he said the same thing. Like he does not even talk about it.
Hmm.
It's just
Weird,
one
right?
of those things. It's just he doesn't bring it up. He brings up the fact that he's a luthier and he repairs guitars and everything because that's just
Mhm.
more interesting to people. So he doesn't even
Yeah.
bring up the psychologist part. So the first mention of us in the movie, well, like when in the actual movie, the first thing that came up was I'm a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I'm a psychiatrist.
And I turned to him and I said, if that's the only thing they use in this whole film, I feel bad.
Well,
So
I think
the
the
next
reason,
thing
go
the
ahead.
next thing was when, they had like the talking while other things were going on. You didn't know who was on,
Hmm.
who was going to be coming up, but you hear the voice and then they show the person and like, oh my God, that's my voice. They're going to show me any second. And then I'm like mumbling and like, why didn't they put more makeup on me? And then it was gone like that. I said something about the covers of the album.
Hmm.
And I'm like, all right, well, I got a cool little talking bit. It was more than Naveed.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
and then I'm
You
like,
got the
I
end
wanted,
too.
huh?
You got it in the end too, with the when everybody was doing the
Yeah.
song.
Well, then, so the Naveed got like three bits more, like really good talking points.
Yeah.
And that was very poignant in the movie,
Hmm.
his statements. And then at the end, I was wondering too, because they played whatever the song was, Rothschild or Iron
I
Maiden
think it
at
was
the
Iron Maiden.
end.
It was Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. Because they were cranking it in the
Hmm.
room, and we were just like they said, just air drum, you know. So I was wondering if they were going to use any of that. And once they started that whole thing at the end, I'm like, oh, they're totally going to show this.
Yes.
And of course they did. Naveed's punches.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Have you
It
seen
was.
it, Den?
I actually haven't because Germany decided to do its own thing yet again, and all the world showed the film for the first time on Thursday. but Germany decided, nope, we're doing it 1 week later. And so the first showing will be next Thursday. But
Okay.
the good news is I have a ticket that I just got actually today with some of my friends. So are going to have an Iron Maiden evening. So I'm actually excited to see you appear in it, and of
Awesome.
course everything else, because I'm just hearing now tidbits and I'm getting more and more interested. How is it going to look on a big screen?
Yeah, yeah. That's
So,
awesome.
so now you can be like, I know that dude, you know.
Yeah.
I will absolutely be like, I know this guy.
And so so I personally, like, a couple things you mentioned, like, first of all, if I ever got an email from somebody, I would just think it was a complete joke. I would be like, this is somebody's punking me here, and I would have like gone through all of my friends to go, who here created a fake account? So did you guys have that moment? Like, did you have that, like, is this real? Is this a
Well, it wasn't like it was from Steve Harris himself, because that
yeah.
would have been a little bit more weird.
Hmm.
Their signature in the email was kind of legit. It was like NOTB Productions
Hmm.
with like a cool font, and I mean, it was pretty professional.
Okay.
And
So
they were like everything they said, it was very legit sounding.
mhm.
And yeah, I don't think I really felt twice about it actually.
Okay. And so the NDA thing too would kill me. Like, and you did a great job, and I can vouch because we went to Bruce Dickinson together, and I knew nothing about this. So I'm sitting there going, I would have told me if I were you. I would have said,
Yeah.
"Hey, by the way, this is going on." So I can 100% vouch that you stuck to it. But how do
Yeah.
you keep that secret for 2 years? Like, that's nuts.
Um, well, it's more like how did I keep it a secret from my best friend in Boston?
Hmm.
Because he was hounding me
Hmm.
nonstop about this. Like he was the only person who really, I would get calls frequently and text messages like, when are you going to tell me? 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 So what's the big news? What's the big news? Like, why can't you tell me? And he would just keep guessing and guessing. I'm like, I just kept saying it's something big. And I think the only thing that people knew were that we were flown to Miami. That's
Hmm.
all I told people.
Hmm.
And that was literally it. And I just said, it's going to be something pretty big. And that's it.
Hmm.
So I
And was
think
it
if
the
he actually lived here, it would have been hard because he would be in my house,
oh
strapping me down and torturing me.
100%? Was it the whole band or just you and Naveed specifically picked?
Just me and Naveed.
Okay.
Yeah, they couldn't fly everybody down.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I guess we're considered like the OGs of the band.
Yeah.
We kind of started the band and yeah,
Hmm.
just
Cool.
made sense.
Dan, I know I'm
Yeah.
hogging the whole the whole
No,
thing.
it's actually great, because I was thinking, let's give Chris the opportunity to tell everything he experienced in this whole process. And I was intrigued by your remark that you were disappointed that you didn't get to talk about performing. So maybe we could do it now, so
Oh,
people can get your point of view through the podcast. And especially, I would like to know about performing Iron Maiden songs on the drums, specifically from the angle of classical music performer, someone who has a background in that kind of music. So how does one influence the other, and what is uh, what is the same and what is different? If you would like to talk something about this.
it's a really good
Good
question. Sometimes
question.
I feel like I don't even know the answer. And then sometimes I think I have a couple ideas. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but how
Um,
does it feel? Maybe that's the easiest way to say to explain. Like, how do you feel when you perform with your symphony orchestra, and how is it when you perform with Eyes of the Nile, with these old Iron Maiden songs, of which I watched a few of your videos, and I was impressed by the whole band.
Thank
It's
you.
really like I could close my eyes and say, okay, yeah, this is just Iron Maiden. This is not a cover band or tribute band. So I am impressed by everyone's performance, by everyone's technique, and I just would like to know how it feels. And what's the difference? Is there a difference at all?
Oh man. Um, it's like the classical and the rock thing are kind of like two different worlds. You get dressed up in a suit or a tuxedo and you have to play 100% perfectly. The music's in front of you and you're playing most of the time, you're 90% of the time you're playing music that was written like before 1900, you know, and there's not really any room for error, following a conductor most of the time. Sometimes you're ignoring them. But I did a whole podcast on this actually. If you really are interested, I did a podcast called Classical Breakdown, and I talk about the history of percussion and playing in an orchestra. And I think I talked about drum set a little bit too, and this percussion episode that they did. It was like 2.5 hours. I mean, it was like really long. But anyway, you're not really sweating that much playing classical. But it's just a whole other thing. You sit down and then you try to stand up at the right time. Try not to, because everyone's sitting down for the most part. And you're the only one that really stands up. And then you have to pick up the cymbals and try not to make a huge commotion. And then play the most perfect cymbal note that has ever existed at the most perfect time, and you're you're listening to maybe 80 other musicians, and you have to place that single note a lot. There's more notes than that, but if you happen to play this one note, it really has to be the most perfect, beautiful note as possible. Because the thing about playing percussion in orchestra is that you can sound really bad really easily. Like people joke about the triangle or the symbol. Oh, I could just, clap my hands together and make a sound. Yes, you can make a sound, but is it a good sound? Is it a beautiful
Yeah,
sound? Is it a sound that's going to make you cry? Or is it just going to be the monkey doing this?
that would
Anyone,
be me.
yeah,
That would be
anyone
me
can do
too.
that, right? So, um, you know, playing Iron Maiden music at this level, I think the similarity is the level of perfectionism, you know, and the timing. So in the classical music world, you develop especially for percussionists, you develop a really strong sense of time, like an internal clock. And you work with a metronome a lot, but you're working with an orchestra and a conductor, and there's all sorts of different time going on some of the time, and you're feeding off different people a lot of the time. Just like if you were in a band, sometimes you're feeding off the bassist or you're listening to the vocalist. If you're in a jazz setting, there's a different kind of time thing going on where you might rely on the vocalist a lot more. And in general, different styles of music, you might play on the beat, you might play ahead of the beat, you might play behind the beat. It's not right on. Like if you
Yeah,
were, in a studio session and you're, putting drums up against the grid, and lining things up, that snare drum note where that falls, sometimes you want it to be right on. Sometimes you want it to be a little bit behind. If you're playing a big power ballad, if you're playing Wasted Love by Iron Maiden, you might play that way more relaxed, just lay back on the snare drum. But if you're playing something like Wrathchild, where it's a little bit more up tempo, more aggressive. I always mention Green Day. All that stuff is just like on top of the beat. It's aggressive. It's forward momentum. You're not really laying back on that stuff. So those are kind of some of the similarities with talking about time. Um, we do stuff at mostly faster tempos in general. Like if you think Live After Death, we're a little bit more along the lines of how fast they play songs from Live After Death. If you listen to the way we do Revelations and listen to the studio version is like a dirge. It's just really slow. And we're just like the Live After Death version, super fast. Um, so from a drumming standpoint, you know, it takes a lot of stamina, and I think I've learned how to, relax, and because you have to get through a pretty brutal set of an hour and 40 minutes or so. And if I got a drum solo coming up too, it's like, okay, well, I got these three songs before then, and I know I just have to be more cognizant of relaxing so that I just don't get all cramped up and my drum solo sounds like I'm just, you know,
Mm.
ham-fisted and no technique or fluidity whatsoever. Um, but again, with the level that we try to play at, it's like a balance between getting all the notes is the first thing, getting all the parts down and being comfortable with it so that you can then perform it. So, and I think that's one of the differences with us is that you have to be pretty comfortable with what you're doing in order to perform it well. Because you have to kind of emote all of this energy and connect with the crowd, not just stand there and worry about playing all your notes.
Yeah.
You have to have that down, right? And that's what some of the best performers do. They got all that stuff down so they can get in your face and really perform. And a lot of people just play and they sound great, but there's nothing else happening. You have to perform. And that goes with classical music. If you're a solo musician and you're a cellist, you can play all the notes perfectly and everything, but can you actually perform? Are you communicating this to the audience? It's all anyone can play the notes, but it's how you play the notes. So we also try to add an edge, a little bit of a having that live edge where it's like on the teeter of, I don't want to say disaster because it's never going to be like a train wreck or anything like that, but just so that it has an energy to it. So it's not too sterile at the same time. I notice when I go to see Dream Theater, they're like the most technically proficient musicians. They can play everything in their sleep, but kind of boring to watch at the same time.
Mhm.
It's just, it's just, there's nothing else. Portnoy is a showman. That's great. I'm not saying you have to like jump up in the air and do, backflips from the drum set or anything, but, it's just, there has to be a certain kind of angst or edge to the performance to
Mhm.
make it exciting.
Yeah, more like the rock and roll chaotic energy that you need to bring into it, even if you can play it perfectly in your sleep.
Yeah.
You need,
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of have to put your soul into it. Yeah.
And a lot of people have noticed that actually. A lot of people have actually said this is like the Iron Maiden from the early 80s, got that energy, that
Mhm.
that attitude. And I'll take that. I always want it to be polished too. And I don't want it to be sloppy, but it has to have a certain energy to it too.
One of the things that I find interesting is just based on your sets, you're typically either playing Clive or Nico.
Mhm.
Who do you like? I know they have two completely different styles. And who do you prefer playing? Nico or
Clive.
Clive? And why
Yeah.
Clive?
Clive to me, and I've said this many times, it reminds me of Neil Peart.
Mhm.
Neil Peart's my idol, my drumming idol. And his parts were always so composed and so like architecturally correct. Like he thought of everything that he did.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, he just had like that drum part was like a piece of music. You would never play it another way. You would never change anything about Tom Sawyer or Limelight or YYZ. Any band that ever plays Rush should never change anything that Neil Peart plays. It's
Mhm.
like for me, it's like sacrilege. Like it's perfect. It's like playing. You wouldn't change something in the timpani part of Beethoven 5. Like you play it the way it's written, or any of
Mhm.
these classical pieces, and that's what you do with Rush. Damn it, you play Neil Peart. Exactly. I get very fired up about this. So Clive, I feel like most of his parts are like that. They're just perfect the way they are. And his hands were super fast. Like some of the stuff that he did, if you listen to especially on the Killers album, his hands are blazing fast. And Nico is more of a jazz player. He was before Maiden, and that comes through in his playing. Not a bad thing whatsoever, but it lends itself to playing a little bit more in an improvisatory way. So sometimes it's hard to follow what he does because he changes things a lot and it's more loose. And I always have to kind of like, oh, what did he do there? And I'll try to, you know, mimic it if I feel like it's worth mimicking. But sometimes with the Nico stuff, I'll change stuff a little bit, but nothing crazy. I'm not going to change the beginning of Where Eagles Dare, of course.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't. But his foot, he's kind of famous for his foot. Like his right foot was blazing fast. So that's always a challenge to try to mimic all of his fast doubles that he did, sometimes even three notes in a row, super fast.
Mhm.
Um, but Clive in general, I just enjoy playing. And I think part of it is also that period of time too. I tend to gravitate towards earlier stuff, even though Power Slave,
Mhm.
Piece of My Power Slave and Somewhere in Time are all Nico. But anything from Number of the Beast, Killers and Iron Maiden, I mean, I'll play every day.
Mhm.
It's just so fun. Because for the songs themselves, but also the way Clive plays kind of just really attracts me. And it's always just very satisfying playing his parts just the way they are every single time. And I'm sure that's the way Neil felt about playing his own parts. He didn't really change anything either. And he's
Mhm.
the one that composed them. He played those same parts for like 40 years. It's crazy.
Are you scared for Annika Niles?
She can play anything. She could
Yeah.
play circles around Neil Peart, I hate to say.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, she's a beast. She can do anything on the drums.
Well,
Like,
they took advantage of my money. I can say this because I'm going to be
uh,
seeing them in October, but
me
it was,
too.
but it's just one of those things that I'm so nervous for because I figure as a drummer, like nobody's taking that job, just for the sheer pressure of everybody watching you.
Hmm.
It's crazy.
And she's not the new member of Rush. I mean, she's basically helping them play some shows that they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And they did choose wisely. I like that she's kind of like um, not a wild card, but like you might expect someone maybe a little bit more famous,
Like Portnoy or
like
somebody like,
Portnoy.
yeah,
Oh God, I'm so glad that's not happening. No offense.
yeah.
It would just almost be like a sellout in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Like Annika is among the drum community, she's one of the best in the world, without a doubt. She's just up there with the Thomas Lang, Marco Miniman, Virgil Donati, like
Mm-hmm.
just people that play like you beyond this world, just unbelievable chops.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
awesome.
to
It's
see
good to
her,
know.
yeah, I mean, but the thing is, she's gonna have to play the Rush parts as much as Getty and Alex want her to. I think they want her to be a little bit of herself as well, but I'm curious how much of that is going to come into play
Mm-hmm.
in one Rush song. So if Tom Sawyer, is that going to be exactly the way it is on the record, and that the way he played for 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
or is she going to do something a little bit different? Maybe the drum fills in that whole middle section are going to be completely different. I don't know. But those are like the most iconic drum solos, drum
Mm-hmm.
fills in like rock history too. So
Yeah, it's
might
it's
not mess
scary.
with that.
It's scary. And Den, I know I stepped on your question, so
No, it's
go ahead.
it's okay because I believe it's no longer fitting the flow of the conversation, so it's fine.
Oh, I killed your
But
question.
it's okay. Don't worry about it.
He
It was
stepped
a
on
sound.
it and then
I know.
squashed
It's
it.
like,
Yeah, but maybe I get to ask something different that I
sure.
was curious about because I hear that Chris is mentioning a lot of programmers and of course Clive and Nico and Yeah, I know you're a big fan of the Beatles, but I also wanted to know which of those was exactly your main reason to play drums? Or is there someone else that you heard and said, I want to be exactly like that guy?
Neil Peart.
Neil
Neil
Peart.
Peart for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Once
Makes
I
sense.
started, yeah, when I wanted to be a rock drummer, I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to move to LA and the whole thing. I grew up in the 80s, so I had long hair and was into metal and very long story. I won't bore you with all the details, but when I went to college, I wanted to like Neil Peart's influence on me was, oh, I want to learn how to play bells. Like, because he would incorporate bells and chimes and some of that in Rush music and in his drum solos. So I thought, I should probably learn how to like the notes of the scales, play some bells. I'll get some classical background, but I still want to be a rock star. But I want to have some kind of education at the same time.
Hmm.
So that was my whole MO going into undergrad. But then once I started learning all these other instruments like timpani and marimba and xylophone and playing in some wind ensemble stuff, percussion ensemble, starting to study classical a little bit, I really got obsessed. Like I was like, wow, this is really freaking cool.
It is.
And I just started discovering things about it that I was like, I didn't think classical music could be this hit, and like listen to American composers like Gershwin, American in Paris. Like, what? How did I miss this stuff? Like, I am so late to the game on this. So it completely flipped to I want to be a classical musician and do the rock thing on the side. And that's really what ended up happening for the rest of college and grad school. Like even in grad school, I mean, that was really focused on classical, winning auditions, getting a job in an orchestra. But I still did some drum set. It just was not a lot at that point. But once I got a job in the Navy band in DC, I eventually was able to play more drum set and then start bands and get into that. And yeah, so the whole classical musician thing and rock thing on the side was how I've lived my life since probably junior year of college in about 1997 or so. Yeah. Keeps things
Yeah.
fun and
It does
interesting.
sound interesting and brings some variety. But
Yeah.
actually, last week, while talking about this week, while preparing, and Matt and I were actually both curious what do you think about artists and bands that actually combine the two, like symphonic rock, symphonic metal bands? Like, do you have any experience listening to any of that, and do you like it, or is it not your thing?
Anytime I've listened to it, I can't say it's my favorite thing in the world. I don't mind listening to it. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't take it personally or anything like that. Not really my thing. I would just rather listen to an actual orchestra play a piece of music or a band play, but I don't mind it. Some bands do it better than others, but I'm not that
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm not that well versed in the genre either to have a good opinion on it. But anything I've heard, it's fine. It just doesn't really excite me that much. Sometimes things can get a little cheesy because, when you play in an orchestra, it's like when I saw the Black Sabbath ballet.
Oh.
Yeah. So they did that in town. It was a touring company. And me and my friend went and they played music of Black Sabbath while people were dancing to it. And, this is an opera orchestra. But they had drum set, they had guitar, and they had a guitarist who was actually one of the actors on stage. And he would come out, and it was one of the most cheesiest things I've ever seen. It was like so cheesy.
I totally get you. It's like Rock of Ages.
It
the
was
Broadway
definitely,
play.
that's all I could think
It
about was Rock
drove
of Ages.
it drove me nuts because like you, I grew up on hair metal and when I see like my favorite bands being performed by Broad on Broadway, it just gave me this like
Yeah,
cringe factor of
it's
like,
the same thing. Yep,
yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like, Rock of Ages trying to do the hair metal thing and the rock thing. And it's like, okay, it was the exact same thing.
Hmm.
So, you know, some of the arrangements were closer to the original, like they just played the song as it was. And that actually was the cheesiest thing because it's not going to be the same as a four-piece band called Black Sabbath playing it
Hmm.
when you're adding a whole bunch of strings. And even with the whole Metallica thing, like the orchestra was supplementary and it's supposed to reinforce the music. And I get that, and it can, but sometimes depending on how it's arranged, like the orchestration, it can come across as very cheesy at the same time. So
Hmm.
you kind of have to be careful on how much the orchestra is used in that kind of context.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing I should also mention, I know we've mentioned Eyes of the Nile, but Chris is also a part of my probably second favorite of the local bands, hair metal, which is the greatest, And what I love about hair metal is they literally play nothing but hair metal bangers, as one would say. And honestly, I've seen the real bands and I've seen hair metal, and hair metal sounds way better than the real
Oh
bands
my God.
right now. The David Lee Roth sounds way better than David Lee Roth as of now. And but you're getting like Van Halen, Scorpions, like you guys, when you do Big City Nights, it's just awesome. It's just, like I said, way better than the Scorpions now. So
Thank you.
if you guys are in the area and hair metal is playing, you absolutely have to go check them out, because it's just awesome.
I look way cuter in that
Yes.
band. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a question also about hair metal because
Hmm.
it's not hair metal as in hair metal, but it's like in German hair metal, like Mr. Metal, which I believe is a brilliant pun. But I also wanted to ask who came up with that? Like, how did it happen?
You're gonna have to refer to me now for the rest of the podcast as Gunter Gleiten Glatten Globen, by the way.
Yes, that's his name in hair metal is Gunter. It's the best.
Um, Believe it or not, this was not my idea, and I was against it.
Mm.
I believe it.
Um, so the same band that comprises hair metal is Dr. Fu. It's the
Mhm.
same people.
Another great
Mhm.
band too, by the way.
That's
And
more your general top 40 kind of cover band. And I joined that band 2004. And then around 2010-ish or so, one of the guys in the band had this grand idea of doing this hair metal thing. And at the time, I actually honestly was 100% against it because I think I was married at that point and I was very busy. I was still active duty. And adding this kind of band to my life was like, no, this is not something I really am interested in doing. But the more we talked about it, we were like, we're not just going to do this with wigs from the Halloween store. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. And Steel Panther, as much as a joke as that is, that was kind of the model that it has to try to be at least at that level so that people, it's more of a legit shtick.
Mhm.
Um, so, I guess I went along with it for a while and then it kind of stuck. People love it.
Uh,
Dr. Fu opens up for hair metal, which is the same people, and everyone's really there to see hair metal, which is hilarious. So we kind of make a joke about that too. And
I will say this, it's really funny. I've come across multiple people. My own normie brother, as I've mentioned on the show, had no idea and still to this day doesn't believe that you guys aren't German because
Mhm.
because you guys stick with the accents there's never a break. And so my brother is convinced that it's A, not the same band as Dr. Fu, but also B, that legitimate Germans. And I'm like, nope, I can 100% vouch,
I have been on a break and like if I remember one time at Friday Night Live in Herndon, it's an outdoor festival that happens every year. And after the Dr. Fu set, I went out to get some food at one of the stands and someone was talking to me and like, do you know how do you guys know hair metal? Like they're flying in now? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, they're coming in on Hair Force One.
Yeah, Air Force One.
Genius.
It really is.
So that's part of the shtick too, the whole Air Force One thing. We got hot tubs in there and the whole, it's so ridiculous. But some, believe it or not, people still believe that it's a completely separate band.
Mhm.
So
And I
that's,
think at the end of the day, it's the thing that really shines is, and the same with Eyes of the Nile as well, is you guys are just great musicians. I think that comes out way more than like the shtick and all the other stuff. It's just like you guys are legitimately playing everything the way it should be played. There's nothing half-ass about it, which is really great.
yeah, I think that you have to have that,
Hmm.
or else you're just like any other band
Hmm.
or just a band that you would never want to see again.
Hmm.
Even for Steel Panther, I feel like Steel Panther are amazing musicians. He's an incredible singer. If
Hmm.
they didn't have that, they would just be another funny, shticky hair band.
Hmm.
But their songs are great. Like that first album is incredible.
Hmm.
And they're sick musicians. Satchel is an incredible guitar player.
Yeah. I actually just saw them, and it was one of those things where I think they focus too much on the shtick. Whereas, like, if they just played songs,
Yeah.
the songs are fantastic. It's
Yeah.
just in between the songs, it was like, okay, you guys are talking for a half hour. Just you know,
Yeah.
get to more songs.
I think they're ad-libbing a lot, so it lends
Yes.
itself to things going a little long
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah, but no, I think they do a great job. And I know we got to wind up at some point, but before we go, since we started talking about Iron Maiden, I kind of want to just get everybody around the room's perspective, and our audience can chime in the comments and all that kind of
Please
good
do.
stuff with what is your most underrated Iron Maiden album? And Chris, since
Yeah.
you're a guest, you can go first, and then we'll just go around.
Okay. I feel bad because, and I'm probably not the greatest Iron Maiden fan in the world by saying this, because all the newer stuff besides Senjutsu and maybe Brave New World, I did not really get into too much. The Blaze stuff, I can't stand to listen to, I hate to say. So any of those could be underrated,
Hmm.
but for me, with the ones that I've always listened to and loved, if I had to pick one of those, I would probably pick Killers.
Mm.
I just feel like a lot of people will gravitate towards Number of the Beast and all the stuff in the middle there with the Power Slave, Peace of Mind, Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son. I think any Iron Maiden fan are going to say those are some of the best Iron Maiden albums ever. And some will say like they love the Blaze stuff or they love all the new stuff, Matter, Life and Death, all that stuff. But I think in terms of being underrated for the ones that I know best, I'd have to say Killers.
Mm.
The production is great. The songwriting is great. The playing is incredible. They got some hits that they've played forever from that album too.
Mhm.
And especially a song like well, I'd say the most underrated song would probably be Strange World. That's
Mhm.
from the first album. Um, but as a whole, the second album, Killers for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, it is, and I agree with you. That is one album that I think people sleep on. They literally just go from Iron Maiden right to Number of the Beast, and it's just sort of like, wait a minute, there's a whole album there.
Yeah.
And
There's
so,
more songs than Wrathchild and Killers on that
yeah,
album that are
absolutely.
incredible.
Den, how about you?
Yeah, I also kind of have to admit that after A Matter of Life and Death, I haven't heard anything that they brought out. Not because
Gotcha.
I am personally against them releasing music or anything. It has just been happening like this, that, oh, there's always something else to listen to. And I remember I didn't like Matter of Life and that much at the time. I did listen to it, and I was like, okay, well, so it's I probably won't like the next one either. So when that came out, I was just kind of okay, I'll probably listen to it sometime, and that time never came. And personally, for me, from the ones that I like and I think don't get as much love as they should, I would probably kind of say Dance of Death, despite the hideous cover art. I just like ignore that. It's terrible. But I think the songs are great and the band sounds great. And it's kind of also something sentimental about it, because No More Lies was the first Iron Maiden song I ever listened to. And I actually told Matt that last week, that it was actually at a school concert at my high school where some guys really thought they could pull this off. And the musicians were quite good. The vocalist was mostly a brave soul, let's say. But I really enjoyed the song, so I came home and started looking for more songs. And so, yeah, Dance of Death was also the first album, and I believe it just doesn't get the love it deserves, let's say. But
What's your
difficult
favorite
to pick
album?
one. My favorite album, I'm basic. It's Fear of the Dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm basic. Sorry.
Basic, in
Ah, I don't think
fairness.
that's basic to pick
No,
that.
because I think my Number of the Beast would be more,
Yeah,
probably the most basic answer that one
yeah.
could give. But I guess I've realized, Dan, there's a reason why we're doing a show together, because I feel like I have been flying the flag for Dance of Death. That is literally my, like, I'm not gonna lie. If I had to do it, if I had to do top five, it's in the top five. I don't know where it is in the top five, but it's definitely in the top five. There's something about it that just sort of works for me. I don't know what it is, but like Montsegur and Passchendaele, there's just
Oh,
so much
Passchendaele.
within that album that I just love. And I don't even hate the cover art as much as everybody else does. It's not great compared to a lot of the others, everything else that they've done, and they could definitely do better. But I I actually like the single where you just get the Grim Reaper, Eddie kind of thing there. Like they should have just kept that.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that was the less hideous version.
mhm. And it's been made known quite a bit that I am very late to the Iron Maiden party. And so for me, I got all 17 albums at the exact same
Oh
time
my God.
and kind of ran through all of them in order and then backwards. And the one album that really kept sticking out to me was Dance of Death. And so the other ones grew on me, and like I said, Number of the Beast is my favorite album, but Dance of Death always had this like soft spot because I think it was the first in a weird sort of way that I 100% gravitated towards. And I've been petitioning Eyes of the Nile to do cover to cover Dance of Death. It
Never
hasn't
gonna
happened
happen.
yet. There's
Yeah.
always hope. Or I guess you're telling me there's no
Keep
hope.
hoping. Oh, you could keep hoping. But I'm telling you
Yeah,
at the same time, it's never gonna happen.
but
Awesome.
dreaming is free.
It's exactly right. It's hard
Um,
enough just to pick the obvious ones to do a whole album of.
mhm.
But I think I know what the next one's gonna be. Can't tell you
Awesome.
though. Sorry.
No, and that's another thing too. We went to Bruce Dickinson, and I was going to see Eyes of the Nile, like I think it was like a month or two later, and you guys were doing a whole like full album, and you didn't give that up either. And I'm like, there's no NDA on this one, but no, it was super cool. They did a whole Seventh Son of Seventh Son, which was amazing. And
Thanks.
Awesome.
so yeah, so folks, if you are in the area or if you're in Europe and you want to fly Eyes of the Nile out and do some gigs,
With Matt.
yes, I have to go. So if you do it in Germany, we have a place to stay. We'll be camping out at Dan's house. But
Outside.
yeah, so if you're a promoter and you want to bring the best Iron Maiden tribute band to your land, definitely look up Eyes of the Nile. They're the best. And Chris, it's been an honor having you once again
Ah,
on the channel. And so folks out there, let us know your thoughts on Burning Ambition, or what your favorite Iron Maiden song is, or your most underrated album for that matter, all that good stuff. Please let us know in the comments, and be sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See
Keep on.
ya.